Wet Hog. We haven't seen Wet Hog on here in a proverbial coon's age.
I know. I can't even remember who it is.
He's from Annapolis. Don't know if I can wait 12 minutes, he says. Well, it's not 12 minutes. Hi from Cape Town, Ted Ryman. Hello, Ted. Joe Holtzman, rock and roll from Estes, Colorado. Emmett's on. Had some texting back and forth with John, who's in Den Haag. Hey, good report from there today. Gordon Smith, good evening from a windy Denmark. Yeah, it's windy in Denmark and in the Netherlands. Alistair Murray, good day, Tom and Julia. Too cold for riding, 2 degrees Celsius. Looking forward to the show. Looking forward to the show ourselves. Welcome, everybody. We'll get this one across the starting line. Show number 639 for Tuesday, the 8th of August. Welcome, everybody. We got lots of folks on here already. Philip Laffin at the other end of the hemispheres. He's in the northern hemisphere where it's summer in Davis Island, Florida. 105 degrees Fahrenheit, unlike Alistair, who's just above freezing in Melbourne. Ahoy from Connecticut, Bannerow is saying, hello, the fuzzy Rick Bannerow. David James, that is a great photo. I agree, David. I think that is a terrific photo, and I'm going to use it one more time later in the show. I'm glad you agree. And Restream.io, that must be Julia. Greetings all. Her commenting is working. It's always good to see. Julia, speaking of whom, I trust you are well.
I am, interestingly enough.
Well, why is that interesting? It's a beautiful day here in San Francisco.
It is. It's the first almost summer-like day we have.
And there's some croutons over here banging away on the roof of the next building.
They're changing the roofing. Yeah.
Well, I guess they are re-roofing it.
Yeah.
One needs to re-roof from time to time, right?
Yes, but they had been at it all day.
Well, and they were at it all day yesterday as well. But we will survive. My co-host and leading light, Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club, Julia Veda-Kent. We are live again, as usual, from Studio B. I'm your host, Tom Eamon, but then you already knew that. Take the lower thirds off. Let's get this one on the road. Congratulations to the Swedes who knocked our Team USA out the other night in the Women's World Cup down under where those games are being played. Mm-hmm. Congrats to Team Sweden. I'm not going to make any political comments, Julia, about you go woke, you go broke, but this team seemed like they were more interested in being political than they were in winning soccer games, but I could be wrong. What sayeth you?
Oh, they forgot what their focus.
Well, and they've won it twice, and this would have been a three-peat, and it would have been an extraordinarily amazing. It would have been an amazing achievement by them, but wasn't to be. We had a nice Fozy interaction here this weekend up from Long Beach, where the Fozy family, Sangmeister, who were with us, and they are up here for a wedding, and I managed to catch up with them for coffee on Saturday morning. John Sangmeister, who's been on this show any number of times, his lawyer bride, Sarah Sangmeister, all good sailors, including their sons, Jack in the back in the blue shirt. William, who's the youngest, he's only, 16, and he's like 6'5".
I know, he's going to be.
He's ginormous. And William, who's the Finn sailor, and star crew, and just a wonderful family, dear friends. A Fozy family, if ever there was one, Julia.
Absolutely.
They're
all terrific.
They are indeed. Just another Fozy note, I'm pleased to, you see this guy right there in the middle, on the wheel?
Yeah.
You know who that is?
No.
That is Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin on his, what is it? It's a Kerr 39, La Rapunzel. He will be our guest on Friday, live from Cows.
Oh, I'm glad.
And we're going to catch up on Fastnet, Cows Week, RC44s who are racing in Cows this week, the Amaxi update, and he'll update us on COVID, no doubt, this latest strain called Eris, E-R-I-S. And I have Era speakers here on the desk, which are our studio monitors, but I think this is a sub-strain of the current Croutonic
Yeah.
COVID. Nothing earth-shaking, apparently nothing too concerning. But it is on the uptake in, on the rise, I should say, in GBR, and starting to be on the rise here in the U.S.
Mm.
Julia, what are we celebrating today?
The infinity.
You knew that. International Infinity
Oh,
Day,
it is.
August 8th.
Yeah.
It's the 8th month, the 8th day of the 8th month, which is why it is celebrated thus. And if you find yourself asking why August 8th is International Infinity Day, well, like the rest of us, I'd never heard. Had you heard of it?
No.
You're halfway there to celebrating. On this day, everyone has the opportunity to celebrate the number 8 in all its uniqueness, but I like this next line. This applies to the Fosey. Whether you're a deep thinker, a question box, what's a question box, or problem solver, we encourage you to celebrate International Infinity Day with a thirst for knowledge, which
Amen.
I think
Yeah.
applies to all of us. Why is 8 significant, Julia?
Because it has no beginning and no end.
Indeed, there's no end to those. That's the punchline for a lot of jokes. There's no end to those pricks, if you remember that. International Infinity Day is every year on the 8th day of the 8th month. 8 planets in the solar system, a coincidence. Since Pluto got downgraded, it used to be 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, it takes 8 minutes for the sun's rays, I think somebody dropped the word rays, not my graphic, to arrive at the Earth. 8, of course, is the atomic number of oxygen, and 8 is the maximum number of electrons that can possess a valence shell in atomic physics.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Infinity, Gordon Smith got it. Worley saying cheers. The photo is perfect for radio.
Yes.
Chilly here in Auckland, New Zealand. Peter Selwyn. Hi, Peter. Nice to see you on. So it is this, whatever day it is, International Infinity Day. You know, I have to go through these days. There's today is International Cat Day, but I couldn't see us doing anything on here
No.
about kitty cats. You're not a cat fan.
Well, I don't.
I thought you were a dog fan.
I like both.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
We had cats and dogs growing up, so it was not a big deal. And there's some other things, but they're national days. There's one other thing worth mentioning. You know, we have our Fosey in Augsburg, Germany, Daniel Grun.
Right.
And today, and there's a long history back to the 1200s or something, 1300s. And today is International Peace Festival Day or Peace Day in Augsburg, Germany, where they started out with some sort, a festival, and it was for religious peace because it was in and around Augsburg when it was a center of action in Germany. It still is, but in a less so than it was today. But they were, back and forth between the Lutherans couldn't do their religious thing, and the Lutherans had to turn Catholic.
Yep.
Augsburg was a big center of Catholicism. And apparently now it's celebrated. It's one of the few days in a municipal day in Germany that's celebrated as a holiday or quasi-national holiday in Augsburg. So we send that to you, Daniel Grun, on this 8th of August. John Emmett checking in. He, the international man of mystery who moves around a lot. Well, he is now in Den Haag, The Hague, where he's coaching, and I have a feeling he's running this coaches program for the ENP, the Emerging Nations Program for World Sailing. Coach's Corner with our Super Fosey, John Emmett. As we said, he is in, and we got some news from, I've been hearing, it's a real problem there. They've got I'll tell you in a minute. They got too many boats in too small an area. In fact, it's a huge area on shore. And I started hearing last night from coaches, not John. In fact, I asked John about it this morning, and, John wouldn't say, you know what, if he had a mouthful of it. He's so diplomatic.
He is.
But this is a mess. And we've been saying, have one of these regattas where you put all the boats from all these classes and then some, not just the Olympic classes, but other classes. And it's a mess, and I guarantee you,
too bad.
It is, and that's what I'm hearing. But the Emerging Nations Program, which we saluted last Friday, is a kickstart to Olympic dreams at the 2023 Allianz Sailing World Championships in The Hague. It's a terrific program. Bravo Zulu World Sailing for putting that program on, but they don't need to have this mega regatta to do that. And we told you on Friday that this World Sailing will be supporting the participation of 44 athletes from 27 nations as part of its ENP, Emerging Nations program, in order to narrow the performance gap and make the highest level of the sport more accessible to all, so that promising sailors do not miss out due to external factors. That sounds like a code word for money.
Yes.
So a good program. John is there coaching, and in the 6 days before racing begins, it begins, I think, tomorrow, the next day, the sailors will join the ENP coaching group and receive pre-event training from experienced coaches, yada, yada, yada. So it's a great program, and John is there, and it's been windy, really windy, and they've had some problems onshore. They had some problems offshore. And here's John's report, which one assumes was shot, was photographed, was videoed by Lily Zhu, who's also there coaching. Have a look.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Now in The Hague, getting ready for the World Sailing World Championships. Tomorrow we'll be running a coach regatta, and there's quite a lot of work to do getting that sorted. But today is a day for collecting the boats here in a very large boat park on the beach. You see the Ilkas in the background. That is supplied equipment, so people have been collecting them. And we also have the 49ers here. It's an interesting mood as people get prepared for possibly their most important sailing regatta of their lives. And it's, going to be a pretty tricky time for a lot of people just trying to get everything in order. Yesterday there was no sailing because of 40-45 knots of wind, and that actually meant boats like the Nacra needed to have mast down, tide down. You can't see, but behind the other side of the breakwater is the rib park, and it is absolutely full because the coach support is such an important part of the regatta. Indeed, you're not allowed on the water at the venue unless you have coach support, because if something breaks, or even light winds, and with a very strong current we have here, if you don't have a boat, you will not get back in the harbour. Training venues on the course has been really restricted. Everybody has quite a narrow window of opportunity to train, with sign in, sign out, all the rest of it set. So everybody's keen to train on the race course. We will be spending the majority of our time at the beginning of the regatta on Tulip. So you have Ilkas racing on the same race course, Ilka 6s, then Ilka 7s, and then the next day we swap round Ilka 7s and Ilka 6s. So potentially some really long days on the water. And this role, probably as much as anything, is team leader as much as coach. We have 30 Ilkas in the Emerging Nations programme, and those who actually need the support on the water, there's around 10 in the 7s, around 10 in the 6s. And we have 2 groups in the coach regatta and 2 groups in the actual regatta, and I'm pretty sure that our fleet will be well split between them. So I'm very grateful that I have a few more coaches to give me some assistance. But we need to be realistic. This close to regatta, there's only so much improvement you can do. It's managing expectations, looking at avoiding fatigue, and just helping the sailors mentally prepare. So really looking forward to it. Now we're getting into the danger zone. There's a large tractor here, so I'm going to stop. Wish you all a very good evening. I hope to join you. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, I don't want to be a flat John Emmett, so bye for now.
You see all the sand there on the beach, and there are steel plates that they've had to put on. They originally put on, and then all this wind washed all this sand onto those steel plates, onto the boats. And I'm hearing, again, from coaches, class managers, sailors, all 3 categories, how far they're having to walk their boats on the dollies to launch, to get them to a launch ramp and ramp. That's before all this sand and steel plates and this madness that happened over the last couple of days. With
over the last couple of days.
Yeah, 44 knot winds. So not only, and apparently the Nacras are close to their launch ramp, so they're okay, but the Ilkas and the skiffs, the 49er and the FX, are just an absolute madness. And again, this is from trying to put all of these boats in one place to make money for world sailing, to try to create a world championship of Olympic classes and then some for our sport. And you can't do it. It just can't do it. Let the 49ers and the FX and the NACRA that are well managed by one organization, let them go off and do their worlds. Let some of the other classes that maybe have a natural cohesion, a natural affinity, let them go off and run their worlds. But to try to do this at one place with all these classes and all these sailors is just crazy.
1,400 sailors.
Yeah, exactly.
And 600 volunteers.
Exactly.
Only 2,000 people.
And I mean, you heard John say,
Yeah.
you in fact, you raised, not only you raised your voice, Darren, good thing I had the microphones off, when we were going through that video, and John said, well, you can't go out on the water. You have all the check-in and check-out for safety reasons.
Right.
Okay, that's good. Because, trying to keep track of all those sailors is hard in the best of times. But in those conditions, plus, you can't go afloat unless you have a coach there responsible for you, as John explained on the video.
Yeah.
So.
And otherwise, you don't get back into shore because there's nobody, because of the currents.
Well, there's nobody there to help get you up on the ramps, too. It's a madness. Our sport has got to stop trying to do this, in my never so humble opinion. Speaking of Lily, she is there, bless her heart, and I hope she's getting paid because she is one of the smartest people in the sport. She is also helping John and the others with this Emerging Nations program, and those are her 6. I was going to use the word mentees, Julia, but then I thought trainees was a better word for cross languages. And mentees, trainees, would call it what you want, but Bravo Zulu to her, there in the middle. And it's a great program, notwithstanding what else is otherwise is going on there. Here's a video John sent of the training that's going on that he's leading, and he said, look, the anchors won't hold the marks. I'm the only thing that was able to anchor and stay put, and he's trying to coach these kids from Morocco and from Serbia and God knows where else. Have a look at this video that John sent this morning.
In the air.
Getting ready here for the next rabbit run. Looking at the rig setup, would expect to have a lot more Cunningham, because that makes it much easier to bear the boat away in the waves. In terms of the position, you need to line up back so you can be at full speed at start time. It can take
Slovakia, SBK,
3-4 boat lengths at least.
SRB, Serbia.
Is MAR Morocco.
It is. Well done.
So looking at Serbia now, also needs a little bit more downhaul.
40 knot wind.
Well, I don't think there's that much now. That looks more like high 20s, but a lot of breeze.
Being pulled to windward for corrective steering. Now, the laser is always a bit of weather help, but as soon as the tiller becomes really loaded, then that's
Okay,
not
so you
fast.
get the idea. And of course, they're out in the Atlantic, that's the North Atlantic, but it's tough conditions, and John is running what is called a coaches regatta, which means the coaches get together ahead of time and they run some coaching for all the kids, but this is a subset for the Emerging Nations program. I did not know, Julia, MAR was Morocco. I had to look that up this morning because you know what the name of what the Moroccans call their country?
Mm-mm.
It's MARCE something, Marsidia.
Gosh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I thought it was Morocco, but that's the anglicized version of the name, like Deutschland, like Germany and Deutschland.
Yeah.
Okay, John, thank you for that. John Emmett Sailing, get to the front of the fleet. We appreciate his regular reportage here on Sailing Illustrated. And we'll have it again, I'm sure, on Friday, as the conditions there, as I said, are not correct. And trying to run these massive regattas, it's over the top. Subscribe and share to your own FB and the YT pages, please, as John would say. And just one more rant at World Sailing. You got to stop doing this. I've been at a number of these events as a jury member. In fact, from the early days, we went away from those regattas. I think one was in Dubai. I think another one was in, I can't remember, Portugal. And we all went away saying, this has got to stop. You can't try to force. It's unfair to the sailors. It's unfair to the organizers to try to force all these classes on them.
David James asks, and I don't know, how does 1,400 sailors compare to Block Island or Key West in the old days, or Cowes?
Well, that's a different kettle of fish because you've spread out all over the Isle of Wight. You're spread out all over any number of places, and they're used to doing it year in and year out. And they fix it when they have a problem. They fix it. They can only accommodate so many. So these traditional events that go on can, in fact, accommodate a lot of sailors. We saw 400 sailors last week at the 29er Worlds, but when it's only one class, you're all focused on that class in one town, on one beach, you can handle it.
Yeah.
But you got, I don't know, how many classes are there? 12? 13? Not just the 10 Olympic classes. It's a madness. Okay, Julie, you were saying something else at the outset of that.
I don't remember.
If you think of it. Let's go to the comments because we got a lot of comments. The first of which I liked was they're talking about the weather. In Infinity Day, it's a well-known phenomenon in Scarborough, as we have forever enjoyed perpetual summer, so says Andrew Pitt. Well, apparently it's nice up there on the
Is it?
in the east coast of England. Yes, it is. It's a spa country up there, and it's nice. And Singer, remembering the Olympics opened on 08 of 08 when they were in China. Gina! Hi, Fritz Mueller in Miami and the Gillinghams. Fritz, thank you. Christopher and Jane have sent some interesting things, and I'm going to get that teed up for us, Julia.
Okay.
And get that in a future show, a near future. Good evening from a wind sweat. It sounds like it's very windy in Europe, in northwestern Europe, because Graham Sweeney is saying in the Shetland Islands in Scotland it's very windy. We know it is in Kiel, Germany, where the ORC Worlds are starting today. Love how Lilia tries to include the below-the-waist shot Stingray, making another somewhat crude shot. Comment, Julia.
No, he's...
Yes, that is a crude comment. You're too innocent-minded to realize. Yes, shake your finger at Stingray.
No, I won't do that.
Oh, okay. You like the comment. Wow, 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 boats everywhere. Holtzman says, yeah, wait. Apropos of that, I'm going to show you a video in a moment that Sweeney sent from Cowes when the Red Funnel Ferry's trying to get out through the fleet. It's very cool. But they're used to it, and that just the fleet spreads like the parting of the Red Sea. Gosh, you really get an idea of how big this event is from the size of the boat park. Good point, Gordon Smith. And that therein lies the problem, is that trying to get wherever you're assigned to park your boat to wherever the ramp is for your class. Apparently, and it's a long way. It's a long pull, long walk, and there's no way to run regattas. It hasn't been. But in search of the almighty dollar and television, we put that ahead of the sailors and the quality of the events. World Sailing is upside down on this. They have been for years. I'm not blaming just the current administration. I hope they get out of these trying to run these mega events, the quote-unquote World Championship of Sailing. Crutonicism. Alistair Murray, thanks, John. Very unattractive-looking venue. Alistair is saying, indeed. Emmett saying 600 volunteers. Yeah, bless their hearts. And if anybody can run this, I mean, the Dutch, you would think. And
they've done, yeah. But,
go ahead.
No, their last year they did a great job.
Well, but that was a different deal. That was
I know, but it was lots of sailors and
it was, and a lot of complaints about it too. This was the one up in Aarhus.
Yeah,
there were lots. Gordon Smith saying, I hear it's very popular amongst the sailors. I hear just the opposite, Gordon, and I'm again talking to coaches, sailors, and so on. Can we hoist the UNT coffee mug to World Sailing? Well, I do have it back here on the back table, Stingray, and we could hoist it. The U Stingray sent that to us. The U, is it better this way? Yeah, it's better. I don't know. The U, what's that? The University of North Texas or Tennessee or whatever. Okay, enough of that. Enough of that rant. John Lamberts Van Buren, good afternoon from the Pacific Northwest, the PNW of Canada. Oh, Canada. David James, how does 1400? Yeah, okay, we talked about that. Replying to John Lamberts Van Buren, how is Tally Ho? Must be up on his boat. Clayton Emily in Bourbon Country. Wet hog. Hot damn, I'd love to be on one of those boats in that wind. Good man. The sound is good considering the hoolie that is blowing. The hoolie, that's a word. Do you know that word, Julia? The hoolie that is blowing. I'd never heard that. Thanks, John and Lily, indeed. Thank you, Gordon Smith. Conditions for racing looking a lot lighter. Yeah, it should calm down. And so I took a look at the wind forecast. I love the John Emmett show. Always cool, Ryman is saying. Just Olympic classes, John is saying. Al, there's some other classes because I saw it promoted on World Sailings, and maybe it's after this event, but there's a bunch of boats there. I love the concept of infinity. I could talk about it forever. Fishback is saying. Julia, what do we have to do for a finger wag? Julie Aaron saying in Cleveland, it's very nice, 77 degrees with a nice breeze, very little humidity, of one of those perfect Midwestern, that's really Midwest, even Cleveland, but in the Great Lakes area, days of mid to late summer now. Last year, test was spread over several different weeks. For ILCAs, no races were sailed. One delayed start and the ox fodder hits the fan. No, I'm not saying that, Graham Sweeney. It's 200 is company. Clayton Embly's right. 200 is company. 1,200 is a crowd. The Para Worlds is at a different venue. Okay, thank you for that, John Emmett. Okay, enough of all that. Shall we press on here, Julie? We got some Bravo Zulus. There's some cool stuff that has happened in the past week. I mean, we're at the height of the Northern Hemisphere sailing season here in August, and Bravo Zulu to an event that took place a few weeks ago at Lake Garda, and they've just now gotten a video out about it. Maybe they got it out some time ago, and I just noticed it. I think Stingray found this and sent it to me. But cool video about Foiling Week. Have a look.
Foiling Week wraps up 3 major initiatives within world sailing, and it's on the cutting edge of yachting. It's what's capturing the imagination of the younger generation. And so the first part about the International Foiling Week is that it makes it open to everybody.
We had a meeting with some exhibitors. We are introducing the Foiling Technology Pavilion together with the Foiling Organization, so that's why I'm here.
It's exciting to sail and exciting also for the public from the shore.
The names here, when you see the Moth fleet and everything, as well as 69F fleet wasn't here last year, so I mean you can see it just getting bigger and bigger. You got to appreciate being in Lake Garda.
You mentioned core values. I think for both Foiling Week and for 11th Hour Racing, our mission is to restore the health of the oceans, but then also to change the marine industry as well, right?
I've been following Foiling Week from afar for 10 years now it's been going, so I've been following it for a while.
Amazing week of racing. First time racing in a Moth for me here in Lake Garda. It really was the perfect place to start my Moth racing.
Well done, Bravo Zulu. I know that's close to Andrew Pindar's heart because you can see there on that graphic, I'll go over to camera 4, but you can see that GAC Pindar are major sponsors, partners of that event, as are a lot of other companies. Bravo Zulu, Luca, and everybody else involved. Foiling Week is really excellent, Gordon Smith saying, really diverse in every meaning of the words. Bravo Zulu to them. Okay, another cool thing that has just wrapped up, and we've been talking about a little bit. We'll talk about it some more on Friday when we get Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin on with us. But 29th of July through the 4th of August was Cows Week, of course, in Cows, Isle of Wight. And here is their wrap-up video that I just got a hold of this morning. Fabulous. Yeah. Isn't that fabulous, Julia?
Nice to be.
Fabulous regatta,
Absolutely.
fabulous venue,
Yes.
and all those clubs contributing. That organization has been going on for years and years and years, and that's why they can accommodate such a huge group. The Solent is perfect for the AC. Hopefully one day, Ryman is saying. Totally agree, Ted. David James saying, nothing beats a pint at the Pier View after a day racing on the Solent. Is the Pier View still there? I thought different ownership, new ownership, something. They struggled through the pandemic. David James, so I don't know. One of the Fozy here will know for sure. Super video, Joe Holtzman agrees.
Yeah, it is a super video. Yes.
You like that? Mm-hmm. I do too. Now, this next one, I promised you how the red funnel ferries, which run from Cowes over to Southampton, how they get through that madness without any, watch this.
You've been there before.
It's a TikTok world when the Red Funnel Ferries put out a TikTok called "Excuse Me, Pardon Me, Coming Through." And it was cool. Thanks, Graham Sweeney, for sending us that little video to play. Fabulous stuff.
Yes.
Have to start somewhere. Yeah, okay, just a point. I think they're still on the pint at the Pier View. Here is another terrific event that has just wrapped up. And this is hadn't talked about this, or at least not much, the Copa del Rey, which was July 29th through the 5th of August, down at hosted by the Real Club Náutico in Palma de Mallorca. Of course, 41st edition of the MAPFRE-sponsored Copa del Rey. 3 videos, 3 really cool videos.
And with these images of the winners of the 41st Copa del Rey MAPFRE, we say goodbye until next year.
And you saw that His Majesty, King Felipe, was on the podium. He's a sailor. I told you the story about umpiring him in the 1992 Olympics in the sailing class. He was crewing for the Spanish entry, obviously, and I penalized. I penalized the Spanish team, and the press, the local press, went nuts. And he was such a gentleman. He said he came over to the jury room. I speak to Mr. Yeah, come on. Hey, the press. I know they're all over you, but come on, we're going to walk. So he took me out. We walked down Las Ramblas,
Yeah.
and the press following him, and he just was, and
Yeah.
we didn't have a pint or anything, but we just went for a walk, and it was fabulous. A great guy. Two more excellent videos. I think these guys are knocking it out of the proverbial, sorry to mix metaphors here,
Yeah.
ballpark. Have a look at this. From the prize giving.
Ooh.
His Majesty, that's their summer home on Pullman. Do you like that?
Yes, but I don't know what MapFree is.
It's a Spanish company. They're an insurance company, and they sponsor a lot of sailing. They're
Yeah.
a terrific sponsor, not unlike Rolex. Ben Nichols is watching. Hari Tomo is watching. Ray Stewart is watching. Glenn Van Heel, welcome to all of you. A lot of folks that are not making comments, but we still see. Rosemary Metzger is watching. Hello, Rosemary. And on and on and on. Is the peer review, somebody tell us, is the peer review still there? I thought someone told me that it had gone under or had changed ownership or something. One more video from the Copa del Rey, and why not?
Yeah, they're terrific.
And now this video is already a promo for next year. More regattas are doing this, but bravo Zulu to any regatta, including the Copa del Rey, who are doing a promo video at the end of the current event.
Mm-hmm.
Bravo Zulu. The 42nd edition is next year. This is the 41st. And I don't know, Julia, if you agree, but I have always held that our beloved sport is better off held on islands. Think about the great venues in the world, whether you get to, sailing to Hobart
Yeah.
as a destination, Newport, Bermuda as a venue. Newport itself is on an island, on Aquidneck Island.
Yeah.
To say nothing of cows, of on and on and on. I just think our sport is so well served, and Majorca is yet another island.
San Francisco has Alcatraz.
Well, we don't run the sport from there. We use Alcatraz sometimes as a turning mark.
I know, but it's true. But most people on islands sail, and people
Yeah, because they're all close to the water on the island, or normally. Majorca is a fabulous island, even more so if you love being in and on the water.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon Smith is saying, okay, bravo Zulu to all three of those events, to the videos produced, the videographers that producing those events.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, which gets us to this day in history, Julia. And speaking of which, I was on an island on the 8th of August, 1974, called Association Island, which was a little sailing, it was an island in southeastern Lake Ontario that the U.S. had established. The late great Bill Benson was the leading light, established as a sailing center leading up to the 1976 Olympics, which were in the northeastern corner. Did I say southwestern corner? The southeastern corner of Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
Off New York, state of New York. Association Island was a rundown GE employees camp that they tried to establish as a sailing center, at least in the summertime, because the Olympics in '76 were going to be in Montreal. The sailing Olympics were in Kingston, Ontario, in the northeast corner of Lake Ontario. So the idea was, oh, you're sailing in more or less the same waters and you're getting accustomed to it. So a lot of classes ran national championships. They're not just Olympic classes. And on the 8th of August, 1974, I was there at a Sunfish North Americans or a Fireball North Americans. I don't remember which. And here's your first and only clue. What happened on the 8th of August, 1974? Here's another clue.
I left Washington, D.C.
Did you? The day Nixon resigned?
Almost.
The
right
day
afterwards.
before. Okay, so in the evening of August 8th, President Richard M. Nixon announces his intention to become the first president in American history to resign. Steve Gruber got it first. Peter Taylor got it. With impeachment proceedings underway against him for his involvement in the Watergate affair, Nixon was finally bowing to pressure from the public and Congress to leave the White House. He gave that speech. We were all there watching it on the one TV in the bar at Association Island in the kind of the commissary. By taking this action, he said in a solemn address from the Oval Office, I hope that I will have hastened the start of the process of healing, which is so desperately needed. I can't pronounce, can't read and write, can't read and talk, needed in America. Julia, do you agree?
At the time.
Do you think in retrospect he was right to resign?
I think in retrospect he didn't have a choice.
I think you're right. Were you happy that Gerald Ford pardoned him? Gerald Ford, the football player from Michigan. Our long national nightmare is over. Is that what he said? Something like that. Okay, so that's what happened on this day in history, 8th of August, 1974. And I was sitting there watching it, astonished like everybody else was, with a bunch of, I think, Fireballs. We were Fireball North Americans.
I was sitting in Pat Nixon's office.
You were?
Yeah, because that was my office.
It was.
I mean,
Pat Nixon being his wife.
Right.
The first lady.
It was her off-campus office.
Oh, nice. Nice. Here for extra credit, Julia.
Yes.
That photo I showed at the top of this segment is him leaving the White House for the last time on the 9th.
Right.
And he still had that S-eating grin. And the victory, that was his look.
Yeah.
Clayton Embley, only Nixon could go to China, old Klingon proverb. Why couldn't Nixon just overthrow the government of USA? Thanks, Stingray, for that one. That's what happened on this day in history on the 8th of August, and then there's about to be night. I think it was at noon on the 9th that was the thing became official after he signed the papers and Gerald Ford took over.
Yeah, we do forget that he did do a lot of important things.
Well, he did, of course. He started the EPA, which cleaned up the Great Lakes, which Julie Ahrens and I and Clark Chapin and any number of others in that corner of the country are grateful. And he did open up China for better or worse.
Yes.
For better or worse. Okay, show number 639. We're about 45 minutes in. Thank you for joining us, and we're going to celebrate now the title slide, the 12-meter World Championship.
That's a great picture.
It is beautiful. Beautiful Newport, Rhode Island. That ran from the 30th of July through the 5th of August, the 12-meter Worlds in Newport. New Portia, we used to call it. You'll see a lot of this photo. I predicted this on the show last Friday, and indeed it's showing up all over the place as the hallmark, as the signature photo from this event and promoting future 12-meter Worlds and other events. Those are the so-called Division I, the modern boats. Challenge 12, as you will probably know, won. Our good friend and Fozy Andy Rose and a bunch of Fozy sailing on Defender didn't do so well. I think they ended up 4th. They had a lot of fun, learned a lot. There's Andy there sitting to the left, and I think that is Jeffrey Peterson up on the high side. He was the ostensible navigator. Jeffrey in the blue shirt, Andy Rose, and any number of other, Danny Thompson, who's driving, Greg Newman, all Fozy, all friends of Sailing Illustrated, all good friends with whom I've sailed many miles over the last decade or so. Another photo that I think is terrific. It didn't get framed very well in that slide, but I used it at the top of the show, as you will have seen, and several of you commented what a great slide that is. Another great photo or three of the boats. The upper left corner is at Ida Lewis Yacht Club that hosted the event, Bravo Zulu to them. And then the city front, the waterfront downtown, where the boats were. In fact, I think that's probably the parade. They did a big parade on the last day before going out to the racing. And parading there on Courageous are the Oak Cliff folks, led by Dawn Riley. That is Dawnable right there, my fellow Michigander, the head of the Oak Cliff Sailing Center. And there is Michel Mader from Switzerland, whom I saw at Gov Cup. And he said he was going back to Newport to race in that. I didn't know he was sailing with Courageous, but a terrific group and a terrific event. Bravo Zulu to them all. And we have a wrap-up video. It's about a 5-minute video, but also a terrific video. Have a look.
Welcome to the final day of the 2023 12-meter World Championship here in Newport, Rhode Island. There's only one race on schedule today to determine the championship. Hi, I'm Tucker Thompson, and before we head out to the race course, we begin with a 12-meter parade of sail here in Newport Harbor, celebrating Newport's history, these iconic yachts, and the lucky crews that get to sail them. With the harbor parade complete, the fleet heads offshore and gets down to the business of racing. However, the breeze didn't cooperate. Race committee kept the fleet postponed for a couple hours and finally decides to get one race off in light air. All bows approach the line in the modern division for the start, and it's Freedom who bests the fleet down here at the pin end. Heading to the left-hand side, keeping their closest competitor in the standings, Challenge 12, in their sights. Enterprise eventually gets shot back by the fleet and is the first to tack away onto port, with the rest of the fleet continuing on starboard to the left. At the top mark with the moderns, the story in this division is Challenge 12, just a few points ahead of Freedom, who needs to claw back in this race to have a chance. And right now, it doesn't look good. Challenge rounds well ahead with Freedom way behind. Back upwind, 4 of the 5 modern 12s head to the right-hand side here in Rhode Island Sound, except one. Defender has taken a huge flyer to the left. The move works. They are almost in the lead, but Challenge 12 crosses ahead by barely a length or two. Into the set, it's Challenge 12, ahead of the rest of the fleet, looking for victory in this regatta with just a couple legs left. Down here at the leeward marks, the race committee has made the call to shorten the course. We don't have to go back upwind. The World Championship for the modern division is going to end right here, and victory goes to Jack LeFort and Challenge 12.
It was fabulous. No, it was great. Great. The crew did an unbelievable job. Kenny had an unbelievable race, and this is Challenge 12 weather. Freedom has been unbelievably tough, unbelievably well sailed, class organization, class boat. It's really wonderful to sail against them. They've been great. I'm just honored to sail with all these guys. They're the best.
The traditional division approaches the line also spread out evenly. From the pin to the committee boat end, there's the gun, and true to form all week, it's American Eagle crossing the line first here at the pin. Their nemesis, Columbia, just behind. Columbia finally falls into Nefertiti's bad breeze and tacks away for clear air, leaving American Eagle heading left. The move to the right worked. Columbia has passed American Eagle and now converges with Nefertiti, who's in the lead, but Columbia's a faster boat and has her sights set on first. As the light sea breeze builds, it starts pulling to the right-hand side. That's where we find Weatherly, who is now shot out in front with Ottawa just behind. Nefertiti ducking in third. It's a solid lead at the top mark for Steve Edelston and crew aboard Weatherly. Definitely their best race in the regatta. And look at American Eagle coming in from the left-hand side on port. They were out the back just a few minutes ago, and now they're able to just squeak in and tack in front of Ottawa, Nefertiti, and Columbia behind. It's Ottawa first to jibe away in a right-hand shift. The move looks good, and the rest of the fleet chases Ottawa downwind on port. The The move at the top mark paid off for Anoa, who was almost in 5th place, rounding the windward mark. Now a solid 1st place rounding down here at the bottom of the track. Beautiful call by tactician Andy Green. Still a very solid race for Weatherly, rounding behind in 2nd place. The battle between Columbia and American Eagle continues no matter the score. Their overlap coming into the bottom of the track, but it's a late spinnaker drop for Columbia, and that could cause some trouble back upwind as American Eagle puts the bow down to try and free their air to leeward, but I'm not sure they can. No, they'll swing inside. It's close. Wow. Upwind, Anoa maintains the lead, and Weatherly still gives chase. The finish for the traditional 12 meters has been shortened as well here at the top mark, and it's amazing that the oldest 12 meter in this World Championship, Anoa, wins the final race. 2nd place, a fantastic finish for Weatherly. And the world champion in the traditional division is Columbia. And so after 5 days, 9 races, 10 majestic 12s complete the 12-meter World Championship here in historic Newport, Rhode Island. Congratulations to Challenge 12 in the modern division, and of course Columbia in the traditional division. We hope you've enjoyed all of our coverage this week. I'm Tucker Thompson. Thanks for joining us.
Bravo Zulu. There's the prize giving in beautiful Newport, Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
From not quite over, that's more or less over I Lewis Yacht Club, looking to the northwest and the bridge, Goat Island there in the center, part of that shot. Fabulous stuff. Isn't it Gordon Smith saying, isn't it fantastic, the breadth of sail sport we can all enjoy, indeed.
Absolutely. I must say, Tucker Thompson sounds as good as I've ever heard it.
I was going to say exactly the same thing, Julia. I thought that was his best voiceover I've heard him do, and whoever wrote that, whether Tucker did or somebody else.
Yeah.
It's an outfit called SLY or SKY, SKYLLA Filmworks, who produced that video. In fact, you can see it there in the lower right corner.
Oh, yeah.
Scalia, if it was Spanish. I don't know what it is. I'd never heard of them, but I thought it was I agree with you. Very nicely done. Tucker did a terrific job. And, of course, he is a sailor. He's a good sailor. And he's, I think, frankly, really good at doing voiceover post-event when they've edited and they got music and they've got a script.
Right.
And, of course, he mentioned Andy Green, who was the tactician on Anoa and his often frequent broadcast partner in Newport. So bravo Zulu to them all. Speaking of Anoa, here is a nice shot. That's Andy Green, speaking of whom, sitting on the upwind in the port quarter there of Anoa, the oldest 12. It dates from what, 1920? Tell me, somebody will know. 26?
Does it?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
And they have the 2 divisions, as you heard.
Yeah.
And we don't need to go into all of that because it's one of these things where being there and participating is almost more important than who wins. Jack LeFort, who is Jack LeFort Jr. or the third, I'm not sure, but it's what happens when you get old, Julia.
Yes.
I knew his dad very well, who was a U.S. Sailing, then USYRU vice president, a terrific guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know Jack Jr. all that well. But bravo Zulu to them, and I've been using that shot that you liked of Challenge 12, and they're all enthusiastic, a beautiful shot as our cover slide for this. And I told you you're going to see a lot of this image, and the reason is that it's being used to promote, among other things, the 12 meters return, the class's return to the America's Cup at next year's 17th Regatta Puig Vela Classica in Barcelona.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, up to 20. This was announced this morning, or overnight, I guess. Up to 25 entries are expected for the 4-day regatta in Barcelona next year, just a little over a year from now, September 4th through the 7th. 2024. And I know some people have already booked. Were sending me information this morning saying that we're going. So I hope a lot of people do.
Oh, it'd be fun to do.
I think it would be. Fantastic video, Greg Phillips. Nice wrap-up, Alistair Murray saying, Tucker was in his element. Great job. Indeed, Peter Taylor. John Lammerts, Van Buren, 1928, not 26. Thank you. And John Lammerts, who is an expert on meter boats and more, and a historian of our beloved
And
sport.
Avikin and Rasmussen.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Built in 28, one of 6 identical ordered by New York Yacht Club members. That much I remembered. But I didn't know if it was 26, 27, 28. Nicely done, John Lammerts, Van Buren. Thank you. Yeah, the Gillinghams are going. He sent me a note this morning. And Ed Worley says, look, crews. Look at up there. He says, look, crews sailing the boats, handling sails, and not with a computer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, teamwork, not technology. I talked to Paul Henderson this morning, who asked me to give all of you his regards. And
nice.
It was, he's 12 meters sure did produce close. And look at that. Exactly. Look at how close the racing was. Disparate boats, all under a rule, same rule, but all these years later, all racing pretty darn close.
Yes.
And as Andrew Dolly DeVola said, Sir James Hardy, Gentleman Jim, would be watching from above with a glass of red and probably a big smile.
Yes.
Indeed. There's a tribute to Gentleman Jim going on down at the Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron. Andy Rose recorded a tribute to him during Gov Cup, and I sent that down to Neville Whitty
nice.
yesterday, and they're going to use that in some kind of a ceremony, tribute ceremony of life for Sir James in the coming days. And our offer stands. I haven't talked to the family. I did mention it to Neville Whitty that we might want to do the same on here like we did for Bob Fisher and Harry Anderson and
it'd be great to do.
One or two others. For Gentleman Jim, who was, at least in my experience, one of the, if not the nicest people I ever met in the sport. There are a lot of nice people we met. But there it is, Challenge 12 on our cover slide. Jack LeFort Jr., his team there, he on the right, not the far right, not the lady, but the far right skipper. And I guess he owns the boat now. I'm not 100% sure, but certainly the charter of that boat. Okay, enough of serious stuff. We get to another Graham Sweeney submission. Graham's made a lot of contributions to the show today. Thank you, Graham. I ask you if this is correct or Crutonic, this amazing film that is out and is dominating at least current
U.S.
Well, I don't know in the U.S. Beyond that, I mean,
Really?
this is it's getting a lot of play and a lot of publicity. Wall Street Journal said the summer of Barbie has only, God forbid, has only just begun, with more than 100 brand collaborations underway, including Ken shirts from Gap and hot pink pool floats from Target. Mattel, the toy company, isn't letting anyone forget that the movie is on the way or is already upon us.
Right.
So I ask you, is this correct or Crutonic that also Heinz is making ketchup and barbecue sauce? Julia, is that correct or Crutonic?
I think it can't be true.
Are you sure? There's 100 brands. Are you sure?
No, but
Is it correct or Crutonic?
Crutonic.
You say Crutonic. What saith Lafosi? Ketchup and barbecue, a classic.
That I believe.
Worley says it's Crutonic. Don Lunabos has just signed on. Gordon Smith says Crutonic. I bet the 12s handle the swells better than the AC boats. Well, Ed Worley, who's a big 12 fan, you're right, I'm sure. Stingray is, he's landing in Barcelona September 1 next year, so he'll be able to see that 12-meter action. Rick Bannerow says, Crutonic with a capital K, the German spelling. I doubt that Oppenheimer has a ketchup tie-in, David James. Very clever. Have you seen that movie or seen the trailer for that movie?
I've seen the trailer, but I haven't seen either movie. Yeah.
Lambert's Van Buren, John is saying it's both correct and Crutonic. Ted Ryman, imagine me in a pink LOL Barbie has just reached over 1 billion. Don't eat Ken's pickles, Sweeney says. It's funny, it is. Okay, I love the Barbie movie. Oh, Alistair's seen it. Best closing, line ever. Pink ketchup bottle is Croutonic, though. I could say something about it, but would get a major finger wag.
Yes.
Clayton Emily is saying. Speaking of corrector Croutonic on TikTok, have you seen the one where Trump is pressing to be a sun bear? Oh, yeah, I did see that. Oh, that was a joke. Ugh, 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 Joel's Barbie blasphemy, Andrew. Okay, well, the answer is it is Croutonic, as all of you, including Julia, suspected. So for extra credit, I ask you this. According to the Wall Street Journal, is Ken the most popular name now, since the movie? Is that now suddenly the most popular name?
Oh, probably.
For baby boys of all different races, ethnicities.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
I would say yes.
Or Croutonic? You think that's correct?
Yeah.
What saith the others?
I bet it is. I mean, things like that happen. Could be correct. Even if it isn't, it could be.
What's anybody else say? Correct or Croutonic? The most popular name all of a sudden for baby boys of any race is Ken, according to the Wall Street Journal. No, Matt Suzuki says it's Muhammad. Croutonic, if it is true. If it's true, he's saying it's Croutonic. No, I'm asking if it's true or not. Please make it go away,
Fair enough, Grandma.
Gordon Smith says it's Croutonic. Well, I had to tease all of you. It is true.
Is it really?
According to the Wall Street Journal, that's become the most popular name just almost overnight. Ken, which was not, it was a name in the 60s, 70s. I had a number of friends named
I have a cousin, Ken.
Do we have any Kens on here? We have Ken Glidewell, past Commodore once or twice, 3 times removed now of St. Francis.
Yeah.
It's true. My poor nephew, born in 2000, is Hunter. They rate that. Okay, we'll move smartly ahead. Thank you, Graham Sweeney, for that. I have to have a laugh after all this serious stuff. And another, you have to laugh about this too. Look, I've been featuring videos from, and you know how windy and rough it's been, and you get the chop going in a different direction from the wind. So look at the video that Emirates Team New Zealand distributed yesterday. It's just unbelievable. Oh yeah, Barcelona's fine. There's no waves. It's beautiful sailing. The video from ETNZ. You don't see this from any of the other teams. Okay, Julie, I dedicate that to Julie Ahrens. And Julia, I have to also point out that you're in pink and gray. You're in scarlet is the actual color for Ohio State.
Oh.
Scarlet and gray, but we always called it pink. Those of us who went to the University of Michigan.
Yes.
And when I heard you were in scarlet and gray, I had to put on a yellow shirt so I could be maize and blue today to counter your scarlet and gray look.
All right.
That we also dedicate to you, Julie Ahrens, who is in Ohio, the great state of Ohio, who are not fond of the great state of Michigan. I don't know about your football program. Stanford going to play on the East Coast in the ACC. Let's don't get into college
I don't
football.
think so.
You don't think so? I think it's an abomination. Ridiculous. What other comments? And then we'll spin. Yeah, Ed Worley. I used to reply to Gordon Smith better than Mike Hunt. Oh, come on. Julia, that deserves
I don't know. Who's
a finger.
Mike Hunt?
Don't say it. I'm glad I had camera 3 on when you said it.
Sorry.
It's the old joke. Kids in high school and junior high school, we used to. It's not who is, it's where is. I waved my finger at you, Julia. Huh? I waved my finger at you.
Dumb.
Where's Mike? Challenge 12, 1. It's a good thing we're done.
Oh, gosh.
Or nearly so. Ohio State, the only team to lose their last 2 games of the season and think they're the national champions, Clayton Emily says. Wave your finger at Julia. I did, Alistair. I did. I'll do it. I'll do it. Where is I'll do it again. Where?
Oh, and I walked walked straight into it.
Joe Holtzman thinks Stanford is going to the Mountain West.
You think so?
Yeah, that's what he says.
Well, I don't really know. They may join Notre Dame and do a superior independence.
Oh, what jive? Notre Dame isn't going. They are. But got their own TV deal.
I know.
With who? ABC. Let's don't talk American college football. We're all horny for it. We love college football.
Yeah.
Can't wait for it. And where's Mike? We need him, Julia.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
There are 1,000. We're going to make you a writer for the Stag Cruise. You keep that up, I'll put you on the writing team. Okay, let's carry on here. That gets us to the last leg. And I have another, this is Video Week, another terrific video. This from the ORC, which is getting the Offshore Racing Council's World Championship, getting underway in Kiel, Germany, featuring another couple, Fozy. Have a look. Enjoy this.
Okay, we're here with Carl Kwok and Gavin Brady from the Beaujust team. You are the winningest team in ORC Championship events this year. And here you are at the World Championship, defending your title from last year in Porticero. How does it feel to be here in Kiel?
Well, you better say that. Well, I think, we haven't been to Kiel in a long time. We used to come here with Olympic sailing, and in the build-up to events like the Admiral's Cup, we would come here as, it was pretty much a yearly stop for teams, whether you were sailing a starboat or a laser or a one-tonner or IMS boat. So it's actually cool to be back and remember these places. A lot hasn't changed, but that's kind of cool. It's sort of it's nostalgic to be back here. For Beaujust, it's actually quite a special time. It's when Carl and I first sailed together. It was in 1995, not far from here.
And Carl, was he like that then, like he is now?
Well, he's much younger now, right?
But how was he to sail with? He must have been
I think I still remember the Clinholm race. We were really down at the bottom, right? So that was the last day. He showed up and we won that race. Doesn't make any difference, but make us feel much better. Yeah, much better.
Awesome. The forecast ahead of us for the first offshore race looks pretty good indeed. Do you guys feel confident and ready for that?
I think it's been interesting. I've been a little bit of an ostrich in this one. I've buried my head in the sand because I think that with a forecast that's this extreme, when you see a forecast of gusts up to 50 knots, there's really no difference between on a boat like this and most of these ORC boats. There's really no difference between 28 knots and 50. Once we get to 28 knots, we're maxed out. I think in some ways, it's a culture in our sport that maybe the event is more of the coastal world championship than an offshore world championship. When you think of an offshore boat, we think of a Volvo 70, we think of the French going around the world, and I think that in some ways, we've evolved in the Mediterranean, racing ORC and in Newport and around the world, and not just in ORC, but we've evolved into more coastal boats, and partly because that's what the teams want to do. That's what the owners want to do. They don't want to go to Cape Horn. Look, we're ready for it. If we go, we go.
Okay, well, you get the idea, and I just wanted to feature, because this event is starting, or has started in Kiel, Germany, and there's a bit of a conflict between the ORC and the IRC, and we're having Andrew McIrvin on Friday. We'll have him update us on all that. But these guys are cool guys. I've known Carl Kwok since forever, Hong Kong, China. And of course, Gavin Brady, who I've done a couple cup campaigns with from New Zealand, lived here in the States for a while. Terrific sailors. Fozy, they've both been on the show over the now many years. And Bravo Zulu to them, and good luck. And note to Dobbs Davis, I think Dobbs is recording this. Note to Dobbs that if you're going to do audio out in a windy, noisy environment, don't use a little lavalier mic. Get a regular report.
It didn't catch the wind though.
Yeah, well, it did. It's hard to hear. But in any event, Bravo Zulu, at least they did it. It's like everything else. At least they did it.
Absolutely.
Do the interview, get them on tape, and then clean it up. Speaking of which, audio, I don't know if you all noticed, but Julia and I, for the first time, both have shotgun microphones. It makes it so much easier for me to wave my arms around, which I do too much of anyway, and Julia not to have a headset on with a mic. And there's a little bit of room tone, and there's a little bit of pickup where my voice goes over to her mic and vice versa. But I hope let us know how it sounds to you all, because it's in a room that's only semi-treated for sound. This is not a perfectly treated audio studio, television studio. But I hope it works, because it is. And the mic's just here I'm being nerdy again, but it's just literally, show them where your mic is. It's literally, just a couple inches above her head. There it is. Oh, now you're going to pull the whole stand over.
Oops.
Is it okay? Yeah, so it's lit. And we hope that works, and let us know how it is good. Peter Taylor says it's good. And there's a couple of techniques that you can do. If you see them on television recording interviews with heads of state, they don't want to put a lavalier mic on and get under their jacket and rig the stuff on them. They, invade their personal space. So you see this kind of a setup normally in big studios, but they've got sound treatment, as do we, and they get the mics at a 90-degree angle, and they get them pretty close, and yada, 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 and they're high quality. These are high-quality mics, which is why we need patrons, Patreon, supporters, to help us keep this going. Okay, to the finish line, a new photo for the finish line, thanks to Rick Bannerow. Morning Glory, which is a J109. And the finish line, thanks, Rick, for that photo. This is from the Larchmont Yacht Club, which is there in the western end of Long Island Sound, their junior sailing big boat program.
Nice.
Bravo, Zulu to them.
Yes.
And to anyone else who runs such a program. In fact, I think so highly of these programs. As you know, we talk about them all the time, don't we, Julia,
Absolutely.
on this show? Halyard, well, I'm not quite sure what's going on in this photo. I talked to Rick briefly this morning. The kids, and these are young, junior sailors, maybe one adult there in the back corner of the boat on the starboard quarter, but they have just had some kind of we can't call it, Julia, a Chinese jibe anymore. People, that's apparently not politically correct, but a flying jibe. And they got the jib up, wrapped up, and they got the kite fixed, and they're coming into the finish line, but this is how you learn. So Bravo Zulu to them. And I'm making them and yacht clubs that run such programs the winners of the day. I just think so highly of this, and I know all of you do as well. Clubs that run big boat sailing programs for juniors, like the Larchmont Yacht Club, Bravo Zulu, you're, in my book at least, the winners of the day. And no surprise who the losers of the day, the croutons du jour. I'm not going to turn the graphic upside down, but just don't stop running this event where all these sailors are all over the place, and it's just a big madness. And yeah, Gordon Smith, you say some of the sailors like it. It's not the top sailors. They're there to qualify for the Olympics. They're there to prove to their country that they should be sent if they do qualify. And you have a bun fight like is breaking out there because of the conditions, because of the shoreside conditions. Okay, the water, on the water, that can happen anywhere. But the shoreside conditions are untenable. Enough. I've ranted enough about that.
Yes. Croutons
du jour, where in World Sailing yet again has put 2 pounds of the German word Scheiße in a 1 pound bag, as my beloved father used to say. Comments. Long wind for the pit. Long wind for the pit. Yeah. Dorade Cup. Thanks, Rick Bannerow. JBB in cooperation with Storm Trysail Club and the Safety at Sea Clinics. Yeah, well done. So cool. So the Orca stuff is on the spike. The Orca stuff, we probably should get an update on the Orcas. There's a lot of that going on. Gordon's saying, I think it is important that the sport holds an event such as this. Bravo to them. Okay, well, I respectfully disagree, Gordon. I don't think it does anything for our sport, for television money. I don't think it does anything for visibility. In fact, I believe the sport is better off by spreading these events out, these so-called world championships out to 7 or 8 or 9 or even 10 different venues. You get more local interest, more local attention, more action. And who's getting the attention and action here? One country. Are we getting more TV coverage because of this? I don't think so, but maybe you're right. Stingray, all the mics sound great, but loose Julia's may need a check into. Okay, Julia, count to 5 for me, Julia.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's more her mic. It's whether her voice. I'm shouting and not quite shouting into the mic, and Julia is more discreet and more soft-spoken.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
More like it, Julia. Which gets us, thank God, to Whiskey Tango Foxtrot and this segment where you all are contributing. So many, I don't even have time to put them all in, but we will. A vegetarian, one, in fact, I got this from several of you. Ancient tribal name for the village idiot who can't hunt, fish, or light fires. Julia?
Yes, that's a good one.
I got to go back to this before we finish up Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. There was a comment up here wanting to know if you know Seymour Butts.
I saw the comment and I refused to comment.
That was a real person, right?
Yes.
Seymour Butts. We had so many of those things. We used to get on we'd go. I'm not kidding. When we were traveling as kids on a hockey team, remember the white
Prince Albert in a can.
Well, there's that, but the white courtesy telephone. You'd get on there and you'd say, "Hey, could you please page so and so," and have them meet us.
Mm-hmm.
And they do it.
Yes.
They finally got wise to it, and I'm sure they gave all the announcers at all the airports a list of the people not to. Okay, this one's one from Sweeney, dedicated to Alistair Murray and all the others in Oz. Australia enters the space race. Yeah, it's a strange shape, but I guarantee it'll come back.
That's great.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Graham Sweeney. And then since we went off on a tangent into the Barbie movie thing, I had to use this one as well. From Martha Peterson, who's a friend of ours here at St. Francis Yacht Club. Things I'd much rather do than watch the Barbie movie. Martha Peterson, thank you. Thank you, John Lammerts, Van Buren. John, we got let's pick a date, John. You send me a note with a date when you can come on. Love to get you on, apropos your extensive knowledge of our sport, especially the classics. And we'll talk about stuff going on in not only your neck of the woods in the Low Countries and so on, but let's get you on. Things I'd rather do than watch the Barbie movie. Things we'd like you to do are, Julia.
Like, follow, and share.
Indeed. We appreciate that very much. Comments are welcome, even in replay. And we also appreciate those of you who do give us $1 or $2 or $5 a month or more in some cases. Become a patron if you're not already. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated, because that's how we stay on the air. This is viewer-supported media. As you've seen, again today, no sponsors. We get solicitations. Every now and then, Fozy will come and say, we'd like to help out, and would you mention our company or give us a slot? And we do that for a few bucks, but not very often, because we want to be able to say what we think and think what we say and not be beholden to anybody, including Fozy. Thank you, Alistair Murray. Thank you all. Rick Bannero, always fun. We did laugh a few. And we want to thank also those who gave us audio, video, and graphics, images for today's show. Julia, final thoughts?
The show went more quickly than I thought it would.
Well, I'm trying to shorten them up, even at the height of our Northern Hemisphere sailing season. An hour and 20 minutes is not too bad. Ted Ryman, great show. Love it when Julia misbehaves.
And embarrasses herself. Oh.
Yes, I've been working on an instant replay system. I have. I've got a button that I can push now, and I've got to do a little more work on it. And I would have, when you did that thing on your face and you grabbed your headset, when you realized what you had said, where's Mike? Or who is? You said, who is Mike?
I did.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Julia. And just a reminder that on Friday, we will have Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin with us. Delighted to have him here. We're going to talk Fastnet, Cows Week, the RC44s, which are racing in cows. Now there's a new all-female team in that circuit.
Good.
And the Maxi update from the good doctor and COVID. What's the latest on COVID? Not that it's a big, scary story. Apparently, it's just another strain
update
of COVID. Okay. Thank you very much. We hope to see you on Friday. In the meantime, have a great rest of your week. And as always, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.